So this is a Volt alternative speed build. Um, just going to go and test it in a mission, in a deflection mission. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to show, and I'm pretty sure certain people already know this, but other people don't. Um, this is how to make your weapons, your Warframe synergize for speed if you're carrying a speed frame. And not just for speed towards your weapons, because that's what Volt does, but also towards assisting your fellow Tennos in combat, and at the same time slowing down your enemies, and I believe, and also conserving energy. So this isn't the primary Volt, but this is a more of an alternative synergize option where the normal crowd control Volt will be range damage, and the incredibly powerful one will be strength damage with less duration or more duration, somewhat efficiency, and more power strength. This isn't a total Volt power strength, because in order to get 300 or more power strength, it will take a lot from your efficiency. And if your school, your focus school, isn't high enough to give you that Zenuric energy return, and your timer on your arcane energize isn't counting down fast enough to give you that energy in return, then there's an issue there. So you always need to have energy to use Volt in order to assist your fellow Tennos and to make sure you at least give your arcane energize enough time to give you back that energy. This isn't like the past before where you could put two arcane energize in slots, in both slots. You can only now use one arcane energize. So for Volt, you could go Madarai, because normally you would want to go Madarai anyway when you do Eidolon hunts. So based upon that, you could kill enemies faster, faster reload speed, faster kills with Madarai School. Mod setup for the standard alternative Volt. Whereas before you even run out of energy, you make sure your efficiency may not be as high as you want it to 175. But if you get it to 160, that's fair enough, because what your duration does, your duration helps to also boost your efficiency amount, as you already know, or anyone who's played the game already know. So as a standard, your drain would have probably been more than 10 if your duration was 100 or less. But now, but now your duration is only 10. However, your radius is small in comparison to the standard 100. But that's not the point of this build. The point of this build is if you're fast enough, you could reach towards an enemy or an ally enough to give them that boost and to double it, 1, 2, 2 speed boost, and 1 before duration runs out, because your duration is at 165 or 167. So if you double tap your boost twice, you will still have enough energy to, 1, cap off enemies. As the enemies are capping you, lowering your energy amount, because you need energy to make yourself heal back. But at the same time, before your prime flow goes completely out, your arcane energize kicks in. Or before that happens, you're able to get energy off of an enemy, just one enemy, in order to get your 160 at least halfway or above halfway back. Because this Volt Warframe consumes a lot of energy. Anything you do with Volt consumes a lot of energy at all times. But this playthrough is primarily for just casting the second ability, not the third or the fourth, just the second. And the only time you use the fourth is when you're in a pickle, in order to stop your opponent for about 10 seconds, and then get as much shots off as you can on them, which is, if you see here, the duration is a 4-second pause towards an enemy. So if I shock the boss or shock a deflection target, it will stay in his place for like 1, 2, 3, 4, move. That's enough for you to get at least a good 20 or 30 shots off with a rifle, or about 15 shots off with a rifle. Do it a second time, your drain is now at 80, which means your prime fall will be down to half, but that's now 8 seconds. Another 15 shots off before it starts moving. Thereafter, you don't use your fourth again, you just use your second for speed. Shoot them again, run past them, shoot them again, and then at the same time indicating to your allies where the target is. Because this build is just the right amount of speed that you need for your Volt to catch up to a target, run past a target, and give your fellow clan members enough speed. Now, once you get into like maybe say 45 to an hour pass in the deflection, then you will need more power strength. But most people do not stay for more. It's going to show you based on this how it works. Corrosive projection will be needed only for when you're doing your fourth, and this is not extremely necessary. I could easily replace it with energy siphon and put a coaxium drift on there for more energy. But we want to keep our power strength by at least 200. That's the primary thing. So even if I put energy siphon on by itself at the same time keeping power drift, it won't do much of anything whatsoever at all, because this is not enough to give us energy in time to cast our second ability again. So might as well have on something to assist your Warframe or your fellow Tennos. If you don't want to put corrosive projection on, you could put on brief respite, or however you want to say it, or you could put on, if you're using your primary weapon, you could put on more damage, like rifle amp, depending on the type of weapon you're using. Because once you stun or you lock your main target in place, its armor is still going to be up. That's the problem. Its armor is still going to be up, so you will always want corrosive projection on that target. Lower the armor real fast, debuff it, and then kill it. If someone else have a powerful weapon, that's even better. So rather than wasting your time trying to kill a target with multiple rounds, you use corrosive projection to lower the enemy armor. If more than one of you have more than one corrosive projection on, that's at least I guess a good 32. No, maybe, yeah, I'd say about 26. No, about 36. About 36. 36 armor debuff, and let's see what else. Maybe I could see if there's a mod. I think this is good enough. You don't need adaptation. With 3 people, and that's a very, very good healthy amount, and so you don't have to worry too much about anything. But if you just have 2, that's fine as well. As long as there's 2 towards a deflection target, it should be okay. But if everyone have on corrosive projection and they're near the target, it'll help you even better. But this is the basic standard build up for an all-rounder assist towards your target. You want your range to at least be 100 or at least 75. I got mine to 79. Why? Because if you throw on any other mods and replace any of these other mods, like say you replace this, your ranges now can only affect a Warframe that's very close to you, directly close to you, and that doesn't work out all the time, even if you run towards closer enough, exactly close enough. But if you put on just a little bit amount of range, you don't have to be exactly close to a Warframe. It could be like a good distance from you and receive the benefit, but not exactly close to you. So if you are unable to kill that target and the target runs by you or runs towards your allies, if you give them a boost towards their weapon, the speed of their weapon will fire faster, or whatever their power will go faster at that range. You always want at least 75 to 100 in deflection. Most people run with a lot of speed, but they'll have to take down a lot of efficiency. Those people run with a lot of efficiency, but they'll have the duration time effect for which their speed, where they could run around to see where the target's out, will run out. And some people just run with a lot of duration, a lot of efficiency, have power strength towards their Warframe. Whatever they cast will not work. And some people just depend solely on their weapons to do the damage. But the point of this exercise, or this tutorial, or however you want to call this little video, is to show that this is more like an alternative all-rounder build, where you have not too much range, but your duration, your efficiency, and your power are decent enough, and your range is just far enough to affect one or two other warframes that are located within your vicinity that's not too far away, with an assistance to a corrosive projection if one or two of you have more than that, or if just one of you that assists with them, and an arcane energized to time when you're about to get replenish of arcane energized, and arcane momentum for more reload speed towards your sniper rifle. I suggest that this should be maxed up, or wait, shouldn't have been sniper rifle. Is it sniper rifle? Oh no, yeah, it's reload speed towards sniper. Alright, so that's not it. Let's see. It's supposed to be firing rate to primary weapons for 6 seconds. That's good. I'm actually looking for something better. If you're using mainly pistols, I'll go with precision. Max that out. Get that up. Because once a volt goes with you and you have precision, 200 damage, 80%. But if you're carrying, if you're mostly using your primary weapon, I would go for, if it's a shotgun, I would go for this, tempo. But if it's a rifle, I would go for acceleration, firing on crit hits, 20% chance for 60% fire rate for primary. But that's a 20% chance on a critical hit. If you don't do a critical hit, it's pointless. So we're trying to get something that's decent enough. Normally I'll just put Grace, more health, Guardian. No. Melee, no. Velocity, no. Alright, so for this one, since not too much, I guess I could go with this on credit hits, but that's not a guarantee. I don't have anything better for that one, so we're gonna go with this one. This is more for guarantee. So what I'll have to do is I have to switch off. It won't be about the primary weapons anymore. It'll be more about the damage from the secondary weapons, fast firing rate. And I could go with I could go with multi-shot ones, or it really depends on what you want. So for this isn't the exercise is not about the weapons. It's about the warframe. What you put with your warframe will synergize with it. It's not about your melee weapons either. This video is primarily about the warframe and how to use whatever weapon or whatever you have modded to synergize with your weapons. Energize to synergize with your warframe. your arcane precision to synergize with your pistol or your primary weapon if you want to use primary weapons. And how you mod your primary and secondary and your melee weapons is completely up to you. And you don't have to use this. I guess you could use this if you want to use, because does a lot of puncture effects. So I'm going to test this on mission and then show you an example. Now these are all these abilities that this Warframe has are its original abilities. None of these are changed by Hellmight or anything.
The sector is under control. Resistance crushed. Troops, begin optimizing the local workforce.
So what I can do is, I guess, should I do regular? Or could I do... No. I guess it really doesn't matter what mission you're doing. I'm trying to, I'm trying to find a good and decent enough mission where it's accessible enough to work the way I want it to work. I guess I could use defection when we're saving targets, but definitely don't want to use arena. I guess I could use a disruption corpus. So I'm going to use disruption corpus. And I'm going to replace this. This is pointless. It's mostly puncture. Replace it with, it's mostly towards health. I guess, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Select corpus on this, I guess. And then when selected, like I said, this is not about the weapons. It's more about the Warframe synergize with your weapons and other Warframes. So I'm selecting these random weapons just to show some synergy, and I'm at least making sure they're at least set for the type of enemy we're about to fight. So these are all set for corpus type enemies. And since the corpus are mostly shield based, there's no need for corrosive projection. So I am going to be using my secondary more. So I guess we could go with that. And damage matter, right? Making sure companion. I guess I could put him to bed. He would give me a crit chance, but I think he'll more interrupt everything I'm trying to do while I'm in mission. And for your sentinels, I guess in this situation, you could use the stun one, or you could use the Prisma one, or the Shade one. So you could use Dariga, or you could use Prisma Shade. Now, we'll also be running around a lot shooting enemies, so there's no point in using Prisma Shade. So you use Dariga. and you should just check to see what he has on. If he's okay, should be fine. This is just to stun enemies if someone comes from behind you and hits you while you're shooting the main target. It's not really necessary. But you just want to make sure everything is set prior to going into mission. Alright, so we're going to do disruption. I'm going to do an example of disruption. I'm not sure this was the last mission I was doing before. I guess it was some type of Arkham mission I was doing here before. I know. Okay, that's what it was. It was trusted disruption, and I was doing disruption. It was infested disruption. So I'm gonna continue on this planet and use this as an example. I highly suggest this location as well. Not only does it give you an affinity boost, it give you your enemies aren't shooting at you like the Corpus and the Grenadier are. So it's mostly about being evasive. There are many different ways to build a Warframe. There are many different synergies that works. You can use other Warframe to make certain Warframe better. You can use certain crit builds, or you could use damage and speed builds, or you can use synergy with other Warframes to boost your power, like what I'm doing. My sole purpose here is to synergize with other Warframe to give them an extra boost in speed and reload capacity. So well, not only to their like weapons, but to the Warframes when they cast their abilities as well. So what we want to do first...
The conduits are still operational. Unfortunately for us, so are the security mechanisms.
So what we want to do first is...
Give that console the old bypass so we can get this thing started.
Lower the audio.
Returnal. I am detecting a synthesis target. Use the synthesis scanner to track the creature.
Lower the audio so you can hear what you're saying. Or if you want to communicate with other people, this is important to communicate and hear what you're saying while you're in a group of people. Why it's important to have a full amount of energy is, as everything is time-based within the game, energy slowly drains based on damage that you take. Energy for repair, energy for casting. So once that's full, you can go ahead with the mission. So hopefully someone joins, and if you as an example, I guess no one joins, then it doesn't really matter. The sole purpose is to move as fast as I can to get towards the main target, kill the target, and it should be good to go.
This isn't your regular vault job. Allied Thieves sold the conduits with interference routines specifically designed for the Tenno. Don't you worry though, I've got some workarounds. Conduit keys are carried by high-ranking muckety mucks. Knock them down, see what they've got.
You always want to get rid of the guys that does the whole health ones first. Because the healers constantly drain your health. So at the moment they pop up, kill them first.
First key. Right, find a matching conduit.
Alright, so matching conduit. Alright, there it is. Now here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to go to speed, found him. Killed him. It's another one. It's not this one.
Routine subverted and you're juiced. Nice. Should have been a boffin. Missed me calling.
Move and strike. We have to win this.
Demo unit incoming. Don't let them near the conduit.
Another good reason why to have speed on is that you could run by the enemies. It takes them a long time just to figure out where you're going because your speed is too fast for them to comprehend.
To pay Maru a small fortune in rations for this tip.
It's another good reason why to have a fast firing weapon is to keep everyone, all the enemies in control. So once Volt reload speed and firing rate towards his weapon is fast. And you have one that does a high amount of damage as well as rapid speed. You just make every enemy go away. Pick up your
Right, they're having a go. Keep the demos away from that conduit. unit's on its way. Coming in fast. That thing blows and you can kiss a conduit goodbye.
And that's why the fourth is necessary. In times when it will take you too long to catch up to an enemy and to reload, you quickly do the fourth to keep everyone at bay behind you and in front of you.
Right. They're back.
And as you can see, based on the energy the enemies are dropping, there's more than sufficient. If they drop one energy orb worth 30 energies for a vault that only spends 10 energy for every time he does his booster ability. Should be good. So you don't have to always do the booster. You just do the booster when you have more than enough.
Any of y'all see the feeds light up? It's going down, kids.
Performance improvement? Won't be looking that Kubidon in the mouth.
See, for 45 minutes to an hour, it's the easy run. Easy. The enemy drops the energy ores a decent amount during the first 45 to an hour. So you never have to worry about, as long as you have 160 efficiency, Volt will never have to worry about the energy past the first hour. And most people don't stay beyond an hour in deflections anyway. Alright, so let me do the next one. There's another reason why I pick only 200 strength. As you can see, once the speed multiplies once you do it more than twice, he starts to go faster. So there's no point for him giving. If he goes too fast, he could run into walls and stuff. All right. See, this is a decent amount of speed that you want. You don't really need that much speed.
Demo unit incoming.
If your speed can multiply in fishes is enough to give you enemy has halved. See, it's hard to figure out where your enemy is.
Why is old Allard call you lot betrayers anyway?
The enemy could literally come from anywhere,
Kick at a conduit?
and you need that speed. And you need to clear enemies at all times. If you let your enemies multiply, it becomes a problem.
Alt signal returns. Dig in.
Before you pick up anyone, and before you pick up any of the, oh, forgot this guy is he should destroy those ancient healers. Alright, so now you have a decent amount of energy. You can continue on with your mission. I wouldn't say you have a lot, but just enough to get you by. Like I said, this isn't like this weapon I'm using isn't like the best weapon. It's an example. Once you get the type of setup you want. And like I said, if you notice, arcane energy doesn't kick in the way you want it. And enemy armor scales and continues to scale. Alright.
Demo unit coming in fast.
Now see, that was 3 disruption rounds without using a pad, an energy pad. No truth is supposed to be 4 or 5 energy pads without using 4 or 5 rounds without using a pad.
He may have raised you believing winning ain't the most important thing, but piece of advice, it is.
Alright. Now see, this is not the proper weapon for these type of enemies. This is most of that impact damage. It's only that it has a firing rate. That's the reason why. Neither is this weapon. Well, like I said, the point of this mission is not. Alright, so where's the next one? Alright. The point of the mission is not to kill enemies based on weapon types. To see how it will work and synergize with other warframes and weapons. Speed up the weapons goes fast. See, if it's just you in the mission, it becomes see if the enemy can't catch you, can't do damage to you. If you have a decent amount of if you do speed towards your firing rate and your reload, you should be able to pick up something fast before an enemy decides to do an attack on you and move away. You will get status effect because they do area effect. But for every 4 to 5 rounds, you should get return of energy from enemies or your prime flow. I mean, not your prime flow, your arcane energy should kick in. on your 4th or 5th round.
The longer we stick around, the more likely we'll get our asses handed to us. Still, with great stupidity comes great reward. What do you reckon? Wakey, wakey. Here we go.
So I don't really need to stay in mission too long anymore. I can, but I mean, this is pretty much a standard setup for when you want to be in a. I mean, if you're in a group and you're doing a group combat fight, that leads to a group combat fight that leads to 1 hour, anything from 45 minutes, 30, 45 to an hour. And you could do that. If you're solo, you could also do it as well. It's all about keeping up your speed, retaining your speed at all times, running by the enemies. Don't waste time with them. Get to your objective, find a target, and use it properly. So it's like more like every 4 or 5 rounds, you would run out of energy, and you either get resupplied by your arcane energize, or you have to throw it on a pet. Now, if you have 175, you'll probably still have some, but if your sole purpose to assist other targets, or to assist other people within your squad, then you can't. You either got to do 175 with prime flow, and then either cut the speed of the strength of your Warframe, or you got to cut the duration period. But if you cut the duration period, you now have to cast your ability more than once, which isn't really makes sense. You want to have enough duration to last for at least a certain while before it runs out. If you don't care about range, you could take off the stretch and focus solely on you and have nothing to do with your group. And then you will be able to have that 175, or increase your duration even longer so you don't have to cast your ability again. But that's solely if you're concerned about just being the guy to direct people where the enemy is, not about giving energy to your party when they're around you. That you would really have to be near your target in order to do so. So you could always do so. But for this alternative, it's just if you're not close enough, if you run too far, you still be able to give them some benefits. So the range isn't necessary, it's more the efficiency and the duration period. Alright. I hate healers, man. It just drain up energy. Alright, which one is this? Blue. Oh, white. So it's gonna be The AI is probably going to try to be smart, and if I go to a certain distance, it'll make the guy pop up somewhere else. So now that I know it's, yep, figured. See what I mean? This is what I'm talking about.
Mate, this is not how bills get paid.
This is what I'm talking about. If you don't kill your enemy, they'll interrupt you while you're doing your ability. And thus the enemy will attack you. So you have to kill at all times. But the problem is that the infested just keeps multiplying. So the amount that you kill is just replaced by more. It's endless, because this is an endless mission. It's just that you have to know exactly when to cast your abilities and when not to. And bring the right weapon for the job, obviously. Someone behind me. Goddamn status effect, man. I don't know why. Oh, I guess duration period for the status effect. I mean, this weapon is kind of shitty if you're using it against enemies that does puncture. I mean, enemies that have armor. Son of a bitch, purposefully. Looking for more energy. Yeah, that's some bullshit right there. Now, the enemies in this game are fast, but they're not fast enough to go past Bolt. Yes, that is duration of shield drain. So as you can see, it doesn't even matter if hey, is a goddamn window open or something? Freaking window is probably open. Alright, let me go in the next room. I'm wondering why the hell I'm giving myself energy. Alright, fine. I see what is going on. Fine. The game is being stupid. It's putting in this little objectives nonsense. If I don't quickly pick up something and put it in within this proper slot, it's going to keep draining my shields. Eventually take all my energy as well. So it's really not about you giving yourself energy. The goddamn game put in default status to hold you up. Not only put in enemies to hold you up, but put in its next round objective is to do certain things. And this one is to drain your shields and your health. Give me a break already. See, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do a goddamn thing. I couldn't do a goddamn thing. I was wondering what the hell was going on. The whole time I was trying to figure out what's going on. I didn't realize that the game already set up a default. I was looking at it like, why is my shield keeps going out? And then I realized that, the game purposely set up the next match for draining off your shields and eventually your health. So it's not like you were doing anything wrong. It's just that you had purposely made you move fast enough. So you have to realize, even in this type of mission, there are going to be certain specific setups by the enemy or the AI to make it harder on you. So it's not just about you keeping up your energy and resource of your energy amount, because I just dropped the energy pad. That the AI would specifically set certain requirements up, and then and once it's up, it would slowly take away from your objective. So in this situation, yeah, your shield was slowly going away, as well as your energy. And this really isn't the type of weapon you want to use within this mission, unless you have mods that give you extra amount of energy back. I guess you could put replenish mods. Like ammo replenish mods, but it still won't work. It doesn't work that way. Ammo replenish mods doesn't work all the time. It only works sometimes, just like it only works sometimes, just like it just works sometimes, just like Arcane Energize. Yeah, so I'm going to leave this mission and then head towards extraction. Um, when you selecting a specific weapon, you want to make sure it's a specific type of weapon that could kill your enemies fast. This weapon isn't really good for this type of mission. No matter what mods you put on this, it's an impact weapon made for killing things that wear shields. It destroys their health, so on and so forth. And it's not meant for killing things with armor, not meant for Grineer, not meant for infested types. It's meant for specifically for corpus or shield-based enemies, where you gotta knock off the shields and then deal. It's meant for killing a lot of enemies at once that are shield-based, not armor-based. Because what this is doing, this is throwing out a lot of rounds at my enemies. And taking a lot of rounds at the same time. You don't want this. What you want is quick kills, not expenditure of rounds. You want quick kills to knock out multiple enemies all at once. And you want fast reload as well. But Volt gives you fast firing rate and fast reload, so you're not worried too much about that. What you want is the amount of damage output based on the enemy type. And the enemy type here is infested. That drains shields. Not drain shields, but oh, where am I going? No, that's not a distraction. Nope, that's not it either. Is that in? It's dead end as well. What the hell? Wait a minute, what the hell? These are all dead ends, what the hell? Why is it telling me to go this direction if there's nothing in this direction? Alright, let's look at my large map. Fine. I'll go all the way back. I mean, so weird, man. The mapping system in this game is weird. Sometimes, like, this is one of the things that they really have to fix, part of the mapping system. You could literally be running all over the place looking for your extraction point. And then when you get to your extraction point isn't there. Because the actually extraction indicator doesn't show you specifically where it is. So you'd be running all over a map, trying to find out where exactly the hell this thing is trying to send you. And you're trying to figure it. I mean, I'll be killed by my enemy before I find this goddamn extraction. Look, these are two endpoints. This is an endpoint. Just go upstairs through. Is it through here? No, this is an endpoint. Is it a floor? Is it a door? No, this is an endpoint. It's fucking stupid, man. So ridiculous. And then this weapon runs out of energy fast when you fire off max rounds. See, now I'm getting pissed off. I'm trying to find the goddamn endpoint. And now I can't find the endpoint. If I go in this direction, I'm going the opposite of where the extraction is telling me. It's telling me extraction is this way. Let's see. I really don't get it, man. This is the one part of the game that really does not make sense sometimes. I mean, I thought it was in here, but there's nothing in here. I thought it was over here, and we'll have to go through a door or something, or a lobby, or some type of... Then I thought it was the stairs that was located in here, but there's no stairs located in here. And then this is a dead end as well. So, I mean, so I can't go this way to extraction. I can only assume that, I'm only assuming that. See, alright, so now, that door, and then this door. Okay, so now we could go to extraction, right here. Alright, so the point of the exercise is that, if you want synergy from Volt, that's the setup you want. But the more the enemy comes out with healers, the more your energy drain, and the objective of the mission, the AI, will eventually set up each tower as a way of taking away more of your energy, your shield, or your health. And you have to constantly figure out a way to sustain your energy, because Arcane Energize really doesn't kick in as often as you want it to. So the 175 efficiency is important, but it won't be as important if you're unable to assist your fellow Tennos. If you're doing it for yourself, then you can go 175. But if you're assisting other people to find target or just to kill enemies, you have to have at least a decent amount of range. Because if you don't have a decent amount of range, you will literally have to run next to your target, your squad mates, and then give them that boost if you have duration. So we're going to try it again. This time we're going to use hardly no range whatsoever at all, and that'll be 34. We're going to give ourselves more efficiency. Not that it will matter, because as you can see, before I even hit the 5th round, I was out of energy, even with Prime Flow on and at 160. And Arcane Energize doesn't kick in when you want it to. So it's really about also the focus school with. I'm using Matterize for power so I could go quick kills. But if I'm going for assistance towards fellow Tennos, in order to accomplish the mission, it's more about doing the kill. So I guess here's an alternative, another one Um, that one was okay if you're going for 4, and if you're probably trying to go for a higher energy amount, I guess you can put in. This will lower your speed though, but at the same time, when you rev it up, you do it more than once, you would get that speed back. So now you're at 177 at 175 duration amount, and your efficiency towards your second is 6. That's still too much. We'll see if we could do something better. Let's lower. Let's get it by at least, but it not taking away too much away from our strength. At least at 179. Let's see. It'll probably still be 6. Yeah, still a 6. Um, let's try this one then. Let's just go with this at 229, 130. You see the difference? That's way too much. So you need fleeting expertise.
Excellent armaments, operator. Please return.
So now we'll put on back fleeting.
Safe and sound.
I went back to 6. We lowered this power strength by at least 180. We will still be able to pick up that speed, but we won't be as fast. But we probably don't need that amount of speed anyway. I prefer 200. If you're with other Warframes, you'll probably get more energy. If you're with Hildren, you'll definitely get more energy. Trinity, you'll get more energy. But with this one, you definitely will get more energy. However, you won't have power towards your weapons. Enemy armor will still be up, so it really depends on your weapons modded setup and whatever arcanes you have here. And this time, we won't use this, which as you see here, within the slots, it's mostly an impact weapon, elemental and impact weapon, so that won't do much of anything. Plus, what did we have on? I think it said radiation. Yeah, we never took it off radiation. Those were infested targets, so it was still on radiation, so it wasn't killing them. But let me put it back on radiation. And then we'll switch this weapon out to a puncture weapon with corrosive on it. Yeah, and then this also does impact to this is not good. This is okay. This is alright. You want fast firing secondary as well. I would go with Spirit Prime. Spirit Prime was an automatic, but it's not an automatic. This is not that great. Slash. This is good, but it's mostly for corpus. Yeah, so based on the weapon types of faster kills direct towards health to get them down real quick. The real fast firing weapons that are automatic or don't do a lot of damage. I mean, if you have the cool Brack, you can use that one. So for this one, I'm gonna use this, and let's see, puncture is 100. It's firing rate. That's what's the most important. This is 11 firing rate. It's no good, no good, no good. See, this is very awesome, but this is like semi-auto. You will have to constantly press the button down to shoot it off. But the whole point of the exercise is not about how long it take you to. I mean, these aren't. You want something on automatic. you're surrounded by enemies that are going to be all around you. You don't want to be pressing a button all at the same time. You're thinking about multiple things all at the same time. Sakura Dwell Orchestra is good, but it's really meant for weaker targets. And as you can see, the Kuvasir isn't that good either. So we'll go with this. We'll take the war away. So every weapon I had on was mostly for corpus enemies because we were about to do a different planet, but we went to infest the planet instead. So now we have this setup. We already showed you another setup for the 161. So now this is the alternative for the 175 one with less range and more duration and 6 amount of energy per each time you do your second ability. And hopefully your arcane energy kicks in every once in a while. I believe after a full round is gone, the arcane energize kicks in. It doesn't kick in every time, every like 30 seconds or every 1 minute that you want. I mean, as you can see, I was going through the mission. I was waiting for it to kick in. A full minute went by. It still didn't kick in. So it's not as great as most people think that it is. The time period for the arcane energy, I really 60% chance to replenish energy to nearby allies. So it's a chance. Like everything in this game, there are chances. If it doesn't feel like giving it to you, it doesn't matter. If you're doing high amount of energy or high amount of damage or low amount of damage, it's based on the chance. It's a chance roll, so it'll give you when it gives you. Sometimes it gives you when I guess based on the time period or based on the amount of people on the game. It's basically like a chance roll. 6% chance. You have 60% chance to get something based on. I've never actually looked up what is it based on. To be honest with you, all I know is that it gives you a high amount of chance. I guess the faster you kill, the faster you play the mission, the more energy you get. But that's malarkey. It's basically RNG. The game gives you the energy when it feels like giving you the energy. But it's best to have it than not to have it at all. So this is what I'm going with. Now, this is the build for when you don't really want to give that amount of speed to everyone. It's mostly for yourself when you want to do it more than once. And yeah, this is mostly like for solo. I guess if you're doing a group buff towards energy for speed, fast reload, you would definitely have to go with the overextended and switch it in one of these slots. I guess you could take out this, and then obviously this will still stay at 6. Duration doesn't affect it, and then you can put it overextended, but overextended will affect it, the power strength or how fast you're going to go. So now you got that at 190, and you really don't want it at 190. You want it at 180 or 200. Now you got it at 134. But then you'll have to take this out and this out, which gives you energy. This is not that great to begin with, but at the same time, you want to always have energy. So I mean, for your speed for your strength, for your speed to get up based on power strength, for it to double, you have to cast it more than once for it to double up. And if you have to cast more than once for it to double up, you'll have to cast it at least three more times for it to get to that 200 or that 180, which is not that good. But I guess for certain people, even a decent amount of energy is better than no energy at all. And so what I'll do here is I'll switch this out, and I'm going to put in, as this little experiment goes, 30% chance for 40% speed for 12 seconds. But this is mostly for when you're doing melee. So I definitely don't want to use that either. So the only thing I could think of that will work based on this is to keep the mod I have on, the mods I have on right now, and Umbra Intensify and Umbra Vitality on. Now this build isn't set up for Umbra. This is set up for just a regular Volt Prime. So if I was to add more to this Volt Prime setup, this would be Umbra and this would be Umbra. But even with an Umbra, this wouldn't go past 150. It's at 139, 140 now. This wouldn't go past 150 or 160 with the Umbra. So it really won't matter. It won't get you to that 180 regardless. So what we're going to do, we're going to test out this setup with the proper pistol this time, or since we don't have our aura is a pistol, ours energy, we're not going to use pistol. What we're going to use is firing rate, 20% chance on crit hits. So if we get a crit hit, we'll have at least 6 seconds of firing rate. And I guarantee we'll probably get a crit hit out. So, at least on one target. And that's better than not having everything. So, we'll try this one out better than others and see how it works. Would we use up more energy with this build than the prior one that we had on? And we're using Baldur Prime, and everything is corrosive. And for this one, for the Baldur Prime, we're going to go with, I'm going to add rounds to mutation. So that, like we ran out of the other weapon, ran out of rounds, we have to give ourselves rounds. That put us in a very peculiar position where we were killed because the enemies hit us while we were getting the amount of ammo we needed from the pads. So this is better. More puncture, more survivability. There are tons of weapons that have better puncture than the Baldur, but it has better firing rate and faster firing rate. And not many weapons within the arsenal of Warframe has as fast of a firing rate and decent amount of puncture like the Baldur Prime. And unless you have a ribbon on your weapon, whatever that weapon is, it'll work. So I guess the only alternative I could give with regards to that is the Citadel, which is shotgun. It's good, and it's rapid fire. And then I guess you could put on the critical chances. At the moment, there's no critical chance on. This is critical multiplier is 5, critical chance is 20. This is 0. So we really, I really have to mod this some more, to be honest with you. This isn't ready for where I needed to get to. I needed to get to where I needed to get to. And with one former mod, it's not strong enough. I could test it in a mission, and it will be the better weapon to use in mission. But at the moment, I already tell that it won't be able to do what I want it to do. So I'm going to go with the Baldur Prime better. But if you get the Citadel maxed out for 4 or 5 formers, you're good. You don't need the Baldur Prime after that. I guess you could do the same for, we're going to go with, why not? Let's go with Ignis Rate. It says 0, but that's not the issue. That's not the issue with Ignis Rate. The power that we'll get with Ignis Rate is direct health, and that's what we need, direct health damage. Well, I'm gonna end this video soon, so you know what? Screw it. The best choice for this type of mission is the Ignis Rate, fast firing, direct damage towards the enemy's health. And yeah, this is what we want. And let's see if we could have a mutation. It's a problem right here. I could swear that'd be. Well, it doesn't really need that much mutation. Damn thing got 200 magazines, so I guess we could do. Yeah, why not? Let's do it. Let's go with. Movement speed and aiming, no. Accuracy and aiming, yes. Stable. Only got 3 though, so this is 7. Can't do that. Yeah, so that sucks. Alright, so I really need this more than anything. I'll take away some of this. Firing rate for this weapon is pretty decent anyway, so I'm not worried about it. And and no. More firing. So this is 5. Do one more. See what we got here. Next one will be 35. The next one is 35. And just go with the other mod. $40. Alright. Guess that's good. But is it really? Yeah, I'm thinking about it from this point of view. See, I'm thinking about it from this point of view. 45. Can't put that in here. Or 37.5. It's almost like 40, but it gives 5% chance to enhance enemy hits from primary. Alright, so alright, so the enhance is what we need. Because as we see here, arcane acceleration on crit hits. So that'll work. That's good synergy right there. So, even though this is a 0 on this weapon, it'll still hurt like hell towards these enemies. We'll do this nice little experiment right now. I already gave the 160. Now let's see how this works. Do my standard recruiting. Now I'm going to go in mission. I'm going to try again. No, I'm pretty sure. I already know. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I already know. It's not going to be that much difference from the last one. But then every 4 or 5, I'm going to get the replenish of, or I'll have to throw down pads. So I already know. So this one, I'm going to be quiet about. Cut my mic.
find a matching conduit. Demo unit incoming. Don't let them near the conduit. Demo unit looking to depart this mortal coil and take you with it. Keep it clear of that conduit. Demo unit coming in fast. That thing bows and you can kiss the conduit goodbye. Hear that beeping? Demo unit's on its way. Got a few seconds before the system resets. We can take them again. Game? Wakey, wakey. Here we go. Next burst, same as a first. Mind you don't get flanked. Demo unit looking to depart this mortal coil and take you with it. Keep it clear of that conduit. working. Demo unit's on its way. Safety's off. We kicked a clown car. Here we go. Right, they're having a go. Keep the demos away from that conduit.
Us and we will counter.
Coming in fast. That thing bows and you can kiss the conduit goodbye. Demo unit incoming. Don't let them near the conduit. for another kick at a conduit? Bulk signal returns. Dig in. To reset. Feeling lucky? Eyes open, sunshine. Here we go. due for more of those, interference routines. Demo units too. Routine subverted and you're juiced. Nice. Should have been a boffin. Missed me calling. We'll get our arses handed to us. Still, with great stupidity comes great reward. What do you reckon? Lock and load. ultra-violence. Keep your back to the objective, old mate. Lock it down till she pops. Demo unit coming in fast. That thing bows and you can kiss the conduit goodbye. what'd you say? Right. They're back. And they're well pissed off. Can't do anything about that last interference routine. You'll just have to wear it. Maybe I can catch the next one. can ya? Right. They're back. And they're well pissed off. Way ahead of you. Time to hit the pub. We got as much as we're getting, hotshot. We are a vapor trail. In the wind. I'll send your cut via the usual. Have a good one.
My sector must pay the tax. You are no exception, my little adversary.
So that was it. That was the mission. If you notice, they were getting buffs at a decent range, obviously because the range is longer. But at the same time, I had to cast the second ability multiple times, 2 or 3 more times than the standard one I had with longer duration period. So everything matters in the game if you really think about it. You really want your duration to be above the 7, 8 that I have here. At the same time, you really need that efficiency as well. But at the same time, you really don't want your power strength to be low. So that was a decent run, but it really took me way too many times to cast my ability. That's way too much duration. So it rounded about the same amount. I lost a lot of energy. I had to give myself more energy on the 4th round. But this one, I gave myself more energy on the 5th round. But at the same time, I had to cast my ability more times during this one than the previous one. But the Ignis rate worked wonders, and these work wonders. So what you really need is you really need more duration if you're going to have 175. 78, 80 isn't good. You need to have that 100 or more duration period. And in order to do that, you really need narrow-minded as well as overextended. So based on what I could see, you need both narrow-minded and overextended attached. It really won't work. Based on what I could see, it's not going to work. If you don't have narrow-minded and overextended on, you really need a decent amount of duration, time period, and 128, 124, 130, 140 is decent. So this is the decent amount you want. With this, you only have to cast your ability twice, whereas I was casting it every 4 turns, 4 or 5 times in that last run, just to keep up the duration period. So you really want it to be over at least 124 and higher. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I really don't want to cast my second ability multiple times. I want to cast it like two times, and that's it. This seems like the best build right here. But the power strength is really shitty. And this really didn't do that much either. Slowly built, but not enough to give me the amount of energy. Even with this and Coaction Drift, that 10, that deduction of power strength from the second ability, that 6, won't be able to get me to where I need to get to in time for me to do it a second time. So it's really pointless to have this. This is the energy siphon, and Coaction Drift works more with a Warframe like Loki and Ivar, who can conserve their energy better rather than this Warframe. I believe this is the best choice right now, or whatever attack weapon you have, and power strength. So based on the last 2 missions, the last 2 setups, the 160 efficiency I have with the 200 power strength, and the 170, 175 I believe, but the range was like 79. This one is 124 with even more efficiency. Duration's pretty much about the same, but the power strength has been cut. I believe this, as an all-rounder, is the best choice. Because one, you don't have to worry too much about duration with the second ability. Um, well, you do have to worry about duration, but you don't have to worry about the energy consumption amount of 10 or higher. Everything it remains 6. Your duration, your duration period for your speed is now at 17 rather than at the amount that it has before. So that's not that great, but at the same time, you don't have to cast it 4 or 5 times. May have to just cast it twice, 2 or 3 times most, but not 4, 5, or 6 times like I did, which is good. Probably 2 times most with this build, and the range has been cut much lower, but you don't really need range. You really need power strength, but at the same time, you really don't want your range to be in the 50s and below, unless you throw down one of those range modifications that you put in your gear wheel, which really I'm pretty sure it does not affect this. It doesn't affect this type of environment, this type of tile set, so it will be pointless. So you really need that overextended attached, but not powered up, high power overextended. One that's halved, I would say this is the decent amount here. Because if you put it here, you're now at 94, and you get a decent amount of strength. Not the 180, but at the same time, not the 180 or 200, which is the best one you can have, but at the same time, you're very close to the 100, which is great. Here, you're at the 100, which is also good, but now you're at 150, which is not that bad, but if you want more strength, this is what you need. But if you don't care, this is perfect right here. You're above 100, and allies within your vicinity can interact with you. But if you desperately want them, anyone within a certain amount of range to have more contact with you, you get that 124. But you won't really need this more than anything. What you really need is your power strength more than anything. And at 94, that seems to be the best choice. Last time I had it at 79, you'd be able to assist one other person with a 79. Not 94, you'd be able to assist at least 2 more people with a 94. And 130, 145, 190, because there's 3 more people. So this is more like you could help more than one person within a vast range. And this strength is very good. This duration is very good, and this efficiency is very good. Now, I don't even need to test these out to tell that these are better, but the power strength isn't. The speed of running to catch up the enemy will be better than the last one we had, but at the same time, it lowered the range, which is not that big of a deal. You just have to be able to have enough range to give to your allies. And if you could run past your enemy and get to your allies before your enemy gets to your allies and stun them with the 4th ability, and be able to do a decent amount of damage. And this wasn't even that maxed out. So, yeah, I will say this is the best build for the Volt. The 160 is when you have a Trinity in party. 160 efficiency is when you have a Trinity in party or someone is giving you energy. And you have power strength enough to do damage to the enemy and sustain a decent amount of speed. But the range is necessary to assist other people, so that build won't work. And the one with the 175, but the like 79 duration is not that good either. Even though I had a 190 range, I had to cast that multiple times. So with the 161, I was able to reach 4 rounds. But I lost energy. With the 175 one, the longer range, lower strength, and lower duration, I was able to reach 5 rounds. But eventually, I have to throw down pads on the 5th round. So neither the 160 or the 175 with those worked. What really will work is enough efficiency, enough duration, and enough power strength. And so after testing those two, to see one has 160 efficiency, one has 175 without duration, and one has 160 with enough duration, it together synergize. The more efficiency is needed to get you to that fifth wave and then drop your energy pad. But at the same time, the more duration will let you not use the efficiency that much. So now with this 179 and 175, you both be able to not use your second ability that much and save enough energy, and you already have a longer duration time with this one, and at the same time have a decent amount of power strength. And now you have 94 range, whereas the last one was 79 range, and the one that with the 175 was 190 range. You now half your range by half, which is not great, but it's not really about making everyone fast enough to at long distance ranges, but just making one fast enough at a decent amount of range, and but with far more speed, more than anything. Decent range, decent speed, decent efficiency. Duration period doesn't matter that much, but if you use up your efficiency for more than too many times because you don't have enough duration, that becomes a problem. So if you still want more range to give benefits to your other allies, you could go with the 100 and knock it down to 150, which is okay, not great. Or you could go to the max overextended, which is knock it down to 146, which is, I would say, not that great. We were able to capture the enemy and knock him down and do a lot of damage, and a multiplier of my speed ability still wasn't enough. I needed the assistance of others in the party to get the enemy down. So a maxed out overextended might not work at a 124, but I know for a fact it will work better. Definitely will work at a 167, 180, and a 200, but anything below 150 won't work. So I say 157 is good, all-rounder. You want more strength, I would go with this. Just enough to give one other ally or two other ally, not the third one, but one or two allies who are within range, enough speed, and catch up to the enemy fast enough. But if you still don't like that, if you think that is too low, you want the all-rounder 100, which is the standard, but you want still want to have enough strength to get enough speed to catch up to the enemy, shoot the enemy, or run past the enemy, then this build will work. And yeah, this build will definitely work. And now you have corrosive projection on, which lowers the enemy armor. So once I cast my fourth ability, unlike the last one, I didn't have corrosive projection on. The enemy will die much quicker, and the Ignis rate is very necessary for this type of mission. It kills infested much faster and works greater, and then firing rate towards your primary weapon is 6 seconds. If you get it to maxed out, it will probably be like 15 seconds. 60% fire rate, that'll help out your Ignis rate greatly. And of course, Arcane Energize is just a helpful boost, but it's not that much, not that great. What's most important is efficiency, duration, so you don't have to use your second ability over and over and over again, because you don't have a Trinity and you don't want to throw down a lot of energy pads. So casting your second ability once or twice with a 6 is good, and decent range of 100 and decent strength is great. If you don't want that one, you want more than 150, I would go with the 160, 169, or is it a 167? Let me see. Yeah, so 169 at the 94, where you can still catch up to giving that one other Tenno that boosted ability that's at a decent range from you, enough to get you and him to attack target while you're 30 or 4th or further away. or even affect the third guy. Um, because 100 isn't that great of a range, but it's enough range to assist someone that's like 200 or 300 feet away from you, or not like a good mile away from you. Won't work with that. But if they're further enough that you could see them, a 100 and higher will work. But if they're a little bit decent closer to you, that'll work. If you want a little bit of power strength, I'll go with this. But for the record, based on the evaluation of what I could see with with those two testing of the 160 efficiency and 175 if efficiency with a range of 190, um, both work at fourth and fifth wave, but they used up energy. The whole objective is to get past the fourth and fifth wave and still have enough energy at the halfway point and power strength and don't use up any revives. So once I get past the fifth wave and I don't use up any revives and I at least have half or at least 35% of my energy still stacked without the use of Arcane Energize that took effect. If I have my energy to half past the fifth wave without dropping the pad, then I'm good. Now, I've seen people continuously have energy based on the mission, but that's also due to not just the Arcane Energize and the efficiency. That's due to the focus school. But Matter is mostly for kill. So if you want to consistently use a Volt with a decent amount of energy, you need to have your school open and you need to give yourself the energy you need towards your Warframe. The passive to your operator will just increase their operator amount, operator energy, and then energy pickups grant 50% additional energy over 5 seconds, which is okay but not that great. Increase heavy attack efficiency. This is towards, I guess, towards your primary melee weapon for heavy attacks. Void Blast slows enemy down. That's if you want it, but you're not going to use that. Nothing Void Blast. Void multiples enemies within towards the operator. So basically, your passives aren't that great. I mean, well, not well. I wouldn't say passive. Your actives aren't that great here. What you want is your passives for to pass from your operator to your Warframe. And in this situation, your Bloodbourne is pulse that deals 200. All this is mostly for your operator, but this is what you want. You want your passives to give you the energy you need, even if it's a little bit amount, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 10 seconds, doesn't matter. You want to get the amount that you want. So you want your operator to have energy if you're using your operator to do those last blasts, but you want your Warframe itself to have energy. And in this case, it says increase energy regeneration rate, amps and void beams, amps and this, increase operator, increase void dash, increase movement, increase operator armor, and void blast. So this is mostly stuff to give to your operator, not much of towards your Warframe, but it does give energy to your Warframe based on pickups. So that's what it will synergize greatly with your Warframe. If your Warframe is the energy conservation type Warframe, and it'll work um, to a certain degree. I would say not that great, but to a certain degree. But if you want kills, you would go for your Materai and do your Voice Strike power up. Get your primary weapon boosted by the Materai or Vazarin. Was it Vazarin? No, Unir. Do your Unir and then you do your Wisp, Unir Wisp, and then do the same thing, same like you would do the Island. You do it in the same situation, but it's mostly in the situation you want primary weapon damage. You want the Materai, or you want the energy distribution given back to you from your operator passed to you, or based on pickups. So this will work for your one passives here. So the main thing I'm going for with this one is to have my primary weapons based on damage types for Zephyr. So I put him on the damage type stats because that's what I need to kill my enemies quick, not so much energy. Energy conservation will come from the efficiency of the Warframe itself, here and here, but not from the focus school. It is helpful for the focus school, but I need the power to kill my enemies from the focus school pass to me, to the Warframe, and that's what I need more than anything. As you can see here, I want my passive, my physical damage to increase by 25. I want not that. I want my void strike to work. So I want the power of using my operator to give me a boost of void strike when I'm using my operator. If I decide to do a void strike towards the target in the deflection, or I just want a general damage output towards my Warframe. So in this situation, I would go with increase operator armor, blast, blah 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 blah. Trail of fire, elemental damage. There, that's what I'm looking for more than anything. Physical damage, elemental damage. That's all I need to know. And this is what I would go for when I'm not doing Alon hunting. Regardless, Netherite is good when you want damage. My efficiency would be solely based on my Warframe. Right here, my duration period. And I can energize and pickups from the enemy. Based on how fast I can kill. So, second ability is the one that's used most. I got it down to 6. So that's the most I guess it could go down to. Speed multiplier is garbage. It's 1.8. I really want to get it to higher, but my power strength isn't good. If I remove this, it will go up to multiplier goes up to a 2, which is good. That's why I said I wanted it to at a 200 or more. See, this is the best. This is the best one. The best one out of all. But you really need that range to assist your fellow Tenno. It won't work that great. So, looking at it again, yeah, anything in the 1 isn't that great. So we'll put it back up. Now, see, the thing is, this is the best one. The 200 with me do that again. See, this is the best one. All this is great. Duration is great. Efficiency is great. Power strength is great. You want it to be 2. You want your multiplier to be 2. You don't want it to be 1. But this is the problem right here, the range. So it really depends on who you're playing with and what you're playing with. I mean, if you don't care about the multiplier, which you should, you could have it at 1. But that will be based on how confident you are in your weapons and your fellow Tenno's damage output capabilities. If you're not that confident, I would say stay with the 200 and go with a range of 72 and a duration of 177. And then look at your stats again. because you're gonna have to do it. Look at your stats again. See, you're still in the 6. That's great. Your range was, which was a little bit higher before, is still now a radius of 17. The duration period is still good. It's still in the 17. Your multiplier is now increased, and your fourth ability is 25 now. So this is great. Not too many things change. Only the range changed dramatically from where it was before. But at the same time, you don't want that one. You want your multiplier of 2, because once you stack up that multiplier, if you do your power strength more, give yourself more strength to double up your multiplier, it would then go from 2 to 3 and then to 4 based on how many times you cast the second ability once you stun your primary target. And so I would say this is the best choice. I mean, all around, I'm looking at it again. Armor stripping, power strength, 200 to give you that multiplier 2. Range is shitty, but if you have a Warframe close enough to you, you could give them a decent amount, or you have Warframes next to you, you could give them enough speed, fast enough for them to have a decent amount of duration of 17 seconds to run around on the map at whatever range it is and still keep that speed up to find a target. They indicate where the target is, and then you run to that location doing your second ability again. And once you get to that ability, cast your second ability once again to make everyone fast enough, and thus you kill the target. So with this 175, you could cast the ability 3 times and still have the duration up and still be able to maintain it by your 5th, maybe even by your 6th wave. I believe this works at an all-rounder. I think maybe at the 5th you have to drop power orbs again, but I think based on the standards, now that I look at it, the multiplier will be cheap. So in order for you to kill the target fast enough and damage enemies around you fast enough so they don't kill you before the primary target blows up the tower, you have to have the multiplier to double up everyone else's capability as synergy to give them the buff. So you don't want to have your multiplier in 1. So based on what I can see, is that this is the only one I can think of that will work. Your weapon have to be a powerful weapon enough so that when it does its multiplier, it works. So whatever multiplier your weapon has, if it doubles up your multiplier already that you already have. So this is 7 times the multiplier. So if I double my multiplier 2 more times, it will go higher than it is now. So which is great. So I believe this is the best volt before. The volt I have the 160 volt with the power strength of 200, range of 79, but the duration that was much lower. Worked, but it stopped at wave 40. Now the 161 was the same as this one, but one big difference is now that there's a 175 efficiency included, and the arcane that's used is now for speed, which it was the prior arcane. Now I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't for 75% firing rate to primary weapons. So once this kicks into effect, I'll be able to get even more firing rate towards my primary weapon, which gives me even more damage towards the enemy and doubles up my multiplier even more. So if my multiplier that's 2 on my volt is already at 2, and my multiplier on my weapons are already high, and the arcane kicks in, that'll be a great thing. But I won't depend on the arcanes to do anything. They're more like little boosters at it. The setup of this is Zephyr's duration, efficiency, and strength. Strength for multiplier and speed. Efficiency to have enough energy so I could get past the 5th, at least by the 5th or by past the 5th wave, and still have at least my energy at half before dropping down a pad. Duration enough so I don't have to cast the second ability multiple times, or cast it 2 or 3 times, and that's it. And then the next way, on to the next way, cast it 2 or 3 times, and that's it. Or at least cast it 2 or 3 times for each wave of enemies within a round. So if I have a group of let's say 100 enemies show up within one round, we get rid of all hundreds. The next round of 100 enemies that show up within that first round, we get rid of them. The next round of enemies show up within that first round, we get rid of them, kill all of them, and using the second ability a third time, boom, by the end of the first round, still should be able to have at least 50% of energy once I get into, no, 75% of energy once I get into the second round. And by the second round, my energy should go down to about half. By the third round, my energy should go down to about 35%. And by the fourth round, my energy should go down to about 15%. And by the fifth round, I should run out of energy completely. Now, I'm also factoring pickups. So, based on what I'm saying, I'm saying things based on also on pickups. So, by the fifth round, I should run completely out of energy, including with pickups. And then, maybe by the end of each round, Arcane Energize would kick in by the 60% chance, or sometime during the period of the first round. It would kick in at either the end towards the first round, or middle of the first round, or even towards the beginning. It would kick in. It would kick in once every round, maybe every 60 seconds, or multiple times during a round. But it would kick in, and it would give me the energy I need per each round, so I could keep it up at all times, and that'll be helpful. So based on this, this is the choice Zephyr. Not the Zephyr, the choice Vault setup to do assisted missions within defection. Find the target, kill the target, have enough efficiency, have enough duration, have enough speed multiplier, and have enough firing rate, have an extra boost of energy. Make sure, making sure the amount of multiplier is by 2, making sure the duration period is decent enough, making sure the amount of drain per each energy orb once you cast it is at 6. Making sure your fourth drain isn't above 35. It's at 25. The standard period to shock an enemy is 4 seconds anyway. So if your team isn't good, you will have to shock the enemy like 4 times for 4 seconds to get it. So that's why that's also important. If the enemy armor is that high and you're that deep in, you have to cast this ability maybe 4 or 5 times before you take down the enemy. So you want it to the minimum as possible as you can if they don't have good weapons, shitty weapons. So I would say 4 or 5 times that'll be about 100 energy orbs. That's why this is a good build. That's why this is a good build. And that's why you'll get the energy you need. Arcane Energize will give you things where you want. 175 is important. Duration is important. The speed multiplier is important. The corrosive to knock down the armor by 18 is important. Hopefully you got it. The range is not that important unless you're running with someone who has energy giving capabilities, Harrow, Trinity, or whoever it is that gives you, or Hildren. If you know that someone's in your team that has that energy giving capabilities, yes, then range will be a factor. But if not, this was the one I would go for based on my 2 tests of the 175 at the 190 range and the 160 at the 172 range, but with not the 175 duration. I would say based on evaluation of that mission and replacing prior mods with this is the better choice. And I think I only died once using a revive, but that's because I wasn't moving. I stood in place to talk to someone. But based on what I could see, this is the best choice for this mission. So if you were trying to look for modding towards your vault, and you always want efficiency to be decent, and you always want duration, you always want speed, and you want to help your ally, at least one of your ally, or like a friend or something, that's within decent range, this is it. And you always want your multiplier to be decent, as long as it's 2 or higher. This is the build you go for, because that 2+ multiplier will add towards whatever multiplier that's in your weapon, and gives you your weapon faster firing rate once you add speed to it. And this also adds additional speed once that kicks in as a bonus whenever it decides to kick in. So this is my end on the Zephyr, I keep saying Zephyr, Volt alternative speed build, which I consider an all-rounder speed build. A strong, extremely strong speed build will get Volt to about 300, but that type of Volt is not really to assist anyone unless that person in your party is an energy giver, or you're just someone who cheats and hacks, and then all of a sudden you're able to always have energy or distribution given back to you. Or maybe you do these Warframe runs so many times that you're able to figure out that certain weapons give energy back, which I don't remember any weapon gives energy. Maybe Syndicate mod gives energy towards Volt, but Volt doesn't have any Syndicate mods that gives him energy over a time period. And unless this mission is run with a Hildren, which is kind of like not the point of this mission, is to use Volt specific and no other Warframe, and not to use any type of Syndicate mods, just to use the standard basic Warframe called Volt that has not as his first, second, third, or fourth ability changed by the Helmite, the standard Volt. And this is a build for the standard Volt to do any mission within the game and to have decent duration, decent efficiency, decent multiplier, decent strength, and able to help at least one other Warframe that's within good range. So this is the build you want, and you want the Ignis rate at all times when you're fighting infested, because it kills multiple enemies at once, and you want your format to be at least 4 or 5 for your Ignis rate. I would go with 5, and you want your Volt format to be 4 or 5 for your Volt. I put this at 10 because I've been doing multiple experimentations with these Warframes over and over again. And the same goes for your secondary weapon, and I hardly use this one weapon. But the whole point is of fighting defection or any type of infested, you want to use the Ignis ring, and you want to use this type of Volt setups for Volt specifically with a lot of efficiency, which is 175. The prime flows on. You need to have 200 or more power strength. Not so much range, but you could take this off completely if you're soloing it by yourself, and then put on even more power strength or even more duration, depending on what you're looking for. But if you're trying to assist at least one more or assist any Warframes into doing anything, I will at least put on a decent amount of range in order to accomplish what you need to accomplish in the mission. That's what I would suggest. This is the best build for the Volt if you're to assist, or if you have to run any mission within the game and still have enough energy past the fourth or fifth round of a long survival mission. Because what I mean by long survival mission is that as a standard, any endless cycles every 5 waves or 5 rounds or 5 survival minutes or 5 minutes. So in defection, seems like it's a little longer. It actually feels longer than waves or in survival. So the calculation of the disruption is a little different. Same as defection. But this is what you would want. That you could cast, killed, make your ally survived, keep the amount of energy you need, firing rate decent amount, and you'll never have to drop an energy pad until the end of or during your 5th wave, at least one. And I'm not talking about standard missions either. In standard missions of any star chart missions, you don't have to drop any energy pads at all. I'm talking for missions that specifically endless, that you're going beyond 5 waves or 5 rounds or anything that has to do with an enemy that drains your health or drains your enemy energy specifically. Like say you go towards a corporate enemy that has a nullifier that knocks off your powers. So you need to turn back on your powers after you take them out, which requires a lot of energy to turn back on that power or to cast your power again. And they'll pop up all the time, and same as for infested healers or any type of infested. The sole purpose is not only to drain your health, but to drain your energy, because your energy is required to repair any damage towards your Warframe. So that will slowly go down. You have to use it many times. Um, so this is a decent build, a decent alternative build, and it works based on my calculations of the 160 with the 272 and the same duration I have here, but not the 175 efficiency. That only worked at the fourth round of disruption, and the 175, but with only 79 duration, 190 range, and even less power strength. You can get it to about one more round, and that's not that great either. You want to have 5 or more rounds and still have energy without dropping the energy pad. So based on those two estimation and those two tests, this seems the better choice. This seems could be wrong, it could end up the same, but your survivability based on this seems much more likely you will be able to move much faster. You're able to save up much more energy. Your duration period of you not having to cast your ability would go on much better. And yeah, that's it for this video. I can't repeat myself anymore. Plus you have corrosive projection to knock down your enemy armor. And you'll be able to cast your fourth ability multiple times rather than once or twice, and then you're all out of energy. So this will work, and you should test it out. You should have at least minimum of 4 or 5 formers on this Warframe, and minimum of 4 or 5 formers on your Ignis rate. And you could throw on a ribbon on the Ignis rate. I would suggest throwing on a ribbon on the Ignis rate as well. I don't have a ribbon on my Ignis rate, and it still did high amounts of damage. And this is the setup. You don't need guided ordnance whatsoever at all, but what you do need is fast firing rate. If you can't put this on, put on the other one, fast firing rate. If you can't put this on, if you don't have this on, or if you could change this up completely, I would put on faster firing. Wait, let me go back. I would put on stabilizer is not needed. Stabilizer is not needed. Eagle eye is not needed. And it has more than enough ammo, which isn't that great. Yeah, so I guess this is the best choice. Alright, so this is what you want to go for. All these mods on here, and then you can replace this with even faster firing rate, or you could keep this Vigilant Fever or Fervor at maxed out to at least give you that 5%. What you want more than anything, you want your multiplier to be 7. So that once Volt does his second ability and kicks in, it adds to that multiplier. And the critical chance, the faster you fire, the more likely for you to get a critical chance. I would love my critical chance to be higher, but the whole point of this build is to have more status effect on the enemy. Because once the status effect affects an enemy, their health goes away faster, which means the corrosive and the heat eats away at their health faster, the higher the status effect, and they'll die quicker. I'm not going to chance a combat on chances. I need guarantees. So I need those effects to get into place. So that's the end of this video, and this is the Volt build. This is the Volt build I started off with, 160, and this is the Volt build by the end of the video I found that works better than others. I don't need to test this one out. Based on the 175 with the 190 and based on the 160 with the 200. This is and the missions of dying once by the 5th round or 4th round. I remember. I would say this will play off much better, keep my survival much higher, and do the job much quicker, and still have me at least 15 to 35% energy by the end of the 5th round out. And this is also with consideration to pickups. So I will still be able to go past that before dropping an energy pad past the 56th round. But I think if I want more energy than that, and I want to have 50 or more energy, I would have to switch out my Meta Ride to my Zenuric. And that's the only thing I can suggest for someone who watches this video. If you're not worried about damage towards your weapon, I wouldn't go with Mad Ride, I would go with Zenuric. But if you want quick damage, quick kills, and quick mission executions, I would go with Mad Ride towards your primary. Use your operator to give you that amount. Use Void Blast on your enemy. Get some synergy towards your Warframe and towards your primary weapon. Throw out your 3rd shield. If you're able to stop your enemy with the 4th, I didn't use my 3rd ability, but you could throw out your shield and then boom, use your secondary weapon and then kill them with the secondary because your multiplier is at 2. So it's really up to you how you want to play with your use your Warframe. But for this build, I mostly focus on the 2nd and the 4th ability because it will. Disruption is fast, very fast, and you can't be standing in place because enemies are in front and behind you. So what you want is to stun everything around you while you're trying to kill your enemy, but you want to always catch up to the enemy and not let them get to the objective before you and lower their armor at the same time. So this is the build, and this video is pretty much done. This is what you put on, and if everyone else in your team has something similar to this, but they're not using bolt, they're using energy output frames or energy buff frames or armor buffing frames or strength buffing frames, then you could last for a long time in those missions. Based on this test, this is decent. This is the end of this video.